I'm Stephanie Bovis, and for those of you who I don't know, I teach yin yoga and meditation, and this is exactly what we're going to be doing today in today's very short, brief session. We'll be exploring yin yoga for back health. Now, our backs are a hot spot for pain a lot of the time, so it's really important to move into our spine every now and then. So a lot of the times we practice our strength exercises to help stabilize the spine. It's important to strengthen the spine to then have that basis to then move into our mobility. So unlike our core practices, our power yoga practices, yin yoga essentially allows us to work into the mobility of our joints by disengaging our muscles. So instead of using our strength, we're trying to really release, and there's an attitude of surrender and letting go when we approach our yin practice. So today, our target is going to be on the spine. We'll be moving through all 6 motions of the spine. So we'll be coming into a forward fold, flexion, a back bend, extension, side bends, these lateral flexions, as well as, of course, the twist. So this will be a very comprehensive practice. You should leave feeling like you've just been, wrung out like a towel. Literally a load has been released from your back. So if you just have 30 minutes to yourself, this will be so beneficial for you, especially because our spine is so important for everything else that we do in our practice. So a few things before we get started. I would make sure that you have some sort of cushion or prop. So this towel is a great one as well. So I'll give you a few moments to get your towels. This is so that we can either, if we feel a sensation on our ankles, when the ankle digs into the ground, we can always pad the ankle. And the cushions are great because when we get into our poses, as we wait for time and we start opening through the pose, this sort of allows for a little bit of give. Okay, so you can go a bit deeper, whereas blocks are quite sturdy, and once your block is in there, you're sort of stuck, right? So grab your cushions, grab your towels, and we'll begin this very simple sequence for yin yoga for back health. Okay. So the first pose that we're going to get into to arrive and center ourselves is the good old butterfly. A very simple pose, but so beneficial to you and so comprehensive because we're also giving a gentle open into our hips. The butterfly that I want to assume today is not one where your heels are towards the pelvis, okay? It's they're situated slightly further away, so you feel like there's this nice diamond shape when you look down, okay? You can place cushions underneath the thighs here for a little support. Once you're all set and ready to go, let's extend the spine before we fold. So you can hold onto your ankles here. Inhale as you extend, as if you're doing a nice big back bend. Okay? And with this extension, we then fold the body forward, resting the elbows beyond our shins. And you can either stay, especially if you feel like you've got a risky sensation in the neck, you can stay here with a flat back and then ease into a rounding. Or if you feel very open and you're okay, just start to round through the spine. Now we're going to be here for about 4 minutes. So before we attach any meaning to this pose, just take this time to fully arrive. You can do this by letting go of the day that just passed
and putting aside any future planning for the rest of the day. These are your 40 minutes to just tune out of the outside world and tune in to your own body and mind. So let's just softly breathe. Noticing where you feel any resistance or tension in the body. And actively using your breath to soften into these areas. And again, the liberty that we have in our yin yoga practice is that we have time. So notice if you're pushing or forcing the body down, as opposed to just allowing the body to hang. As we open up through the back of the spine. We always check in with our face and our jaw. Tension tends to habitually linger in our jaw, so just always keep checking in. When we assume a yin posture, we're essentially just marinating in the shape and trying our best to always be here in our bodies with our breath. Allowing this breath to move the spine like a wave, ever so subtly.
We're here for our last minute.
There's no engagement in the muscles. Pure relaxation here as we pull on our deeper connective tissues. Take these last 5 breaths in our butterfly and cover each breath with your full attention. Really feeling into each part of the breath. We inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Beautiful. Now before we come out and exit this pose, engage the core slightly, and you can use your hands to roll the spine up time. Take your time. Okay?
Once we arrive at the top, use your hands to bring the knees to touch, and then you can separate the feet, leaning the knees against each other. Okay, and just take a few moments here to close your eyes and observe any sensations. It can be physical sensations, maybe a rush of blood back into the hips. Or it might be a mental sensation. Beautiful. Okay, let's now come down onto our backs. So this is a really fun restorative pose. Okay, we're going to find ourselves lying down. Now, if you can't look at your screen, just listen to my voice and I'll guide you as best as I can. So in this neutral supine position, we're on our backs. Let's walk the legs over to the right as far as they allow. The hips stay grounded, and then we start to move the shoulders as far to the right as well. We can stretch the arms overhead, interlacing the elbows. And if you wish to deepen this banana pose, you can even cross that left ankle over the right. So if I look at you from above, it should look like a crescent moon or a banana shape. And we just breathe here, softening all the muscles around the hips and the pelvis. Closing the eyes and just breathing into the left side. So you may feel tension more in just on the outer hip region, maybe in the obliques, or maybe even into your IT band, depending on your own body. The sensations will be felt in different places. And breathe. One of the beautiful aspects of yin yoga that I was super drawn to was that once you really figure the poses out, and once you can get into a shape, that leaves so much room for your meditation practice. Focusing on your mental states and where the thoughts go. A lot arises in stillness. And yin yoga allows us to really just observe what is coming up. And to also just sit with it and hold it. Don't try to push it away or ignore. So we're here for just our last minute on this side. Use the in-breath to almost massage the whole left side. Three more deep breaths.
Beautiful. And then let's now move the shoulders back slowly. And then the hips. You can uncross the legs if you had them crossed. And just take a moment to rest in Shavasana as you feel this pressure. And all the tissues reorganize itself on the left side of the body. Okay, let's repeat the same on the opposite side. So let's first walk the shoulders over to the left, keeping the hips where they are, nice and grounded, and then the feet move as well. Okay? You can interlace the elbows above the head, or you can even cross that right ankle over the left. Keeping that right hip heavy on the mat, as with the shoulders and the ankles. These are your 3 anchor points. And we now breathe deeply into the right side. I love to think of the breath as a sort of massage tool. So you're massaging the body from the inside out. And again, keep the eyes closed. When we open them and we look around, it sort of promotes distraction. So if closing your eyes is not an option for whatever reason, just keep them open, but stare softly at one point. Disciplining the focus of the gaze allows for a more disciplined mind. If you're joining along and you start to notice that your mind is very hyperactive and stillness sort of accentuates that, just focus more on the exhalation. So deepen the exhalation, making it long and smooth. But if you're feeling a bit fatigued or tired, like you could fall asleep, you may want to inhale with more vitality. Okay, so accentuate the in-breath. Notice how the pose starts to feel different after we wait for time. Relaxing the arms and the shoulders and the hips. And just allowing that whole right side body to naturally open. To open safely and gently. Take your last 5 breaths here, and again, focus on nothing but these breaths. Beautiful. And with that, we move back so that we find our neutral spine. Release the hands beside you, and again, observe the sensations in that right side body. draw the knees into the chest. And again, just let's massage the lower back as we draw circles in the sky. So you should feel that whole bowl shape of the pelvis and maybe that triangular flat bone of the sacrum. Reverse the direction. And let's rock up to then now rest onto our bellies in prone position. Okay. So we're now going to find ourselves on our bellies. We're coming into our gentle back bend. Sphinx. Now this is where you may need to use your towel to place underneath your elbows if you feel that there's a sharp pinging into the ground. Okay. And again, just feel what distance you want your feet to be at. The sensation in the lower back will be different if your feet are further apart as opposed to feet together. So just feel what that feels like. Okay? So when you found your Goldilocks position, the part that just feels right, just stay. We prop ourselves up onto the elbows, and you can either keep your elbows below the shoulders, but if it's too intense and you want to decrease the angle of the extension, you can move your elbows forward, and this will take a load off the back. Conversely, if you want to increase the back bend, okay, you may want to even come up onto the elbows into your seal. Okay, so do whatever feels good for the spine. Okay, well, we're here for 5 minutes, so take your time. Okay? It's quite daunting if this is your first time practicing yin when you hear 5 minutes. But when you close your eyes and you focus on your breath and you treat it as a mind-body connection, a meditation, it's not that long and time goes by very, very quickly. And even if frustrations do come up, which is so natural, just label it as it is. This is frustration, and this is how it feels like. The moment you attach an I to that sentence, I am frustrated, I am hungry, that's when it starts to manifest in your being instead of allowing it to just pass on as a lingering sensation. So just keep the eyes closed. If you have a yoga block nearby, you can always rest the forehead onto the yoga block. A lot of the times the neck is the one that starts to feel a little achy. You can even relax the neck down if you wish. But try not to dip into the shoulders. So there's integrity in the shoulders here. And we breathe. So what's happening here is we're increasing or we're accentuating this curve of the lower back, the lumbar, and we're squeezing into the kidneys that rest to the back of the body below the rib cage. You've got 2 kidneys, and they're the size of your ears about, and they're so important for your energy and your vitality. Your adrenal glands, which release the hormones that help you cope with stress, are nestled on top of the kidneys, like snow-capped mountains. So by squeezing into this area, we're just allowing for a little massage so that when we release this pose, fresh blood rushes through and nourishes this whole part of the back. Okay, we just have 90 seconds left. You've got this. If you wish to
deepen the pose now. Now's a good time too, by pressing up into your full seal. Don't forget to breathe deeply here. So as you inhale, you feel the belly massage on the mat, and then the exhalation squeezes into the back a little bit more. You've got this. Just a few more breaths. Stay with it. Discomfort is good for the body. Let's take our last 5 breaths together. And then on your last out breath, so slowly, lower down. Okay? We're then going to rest the forehead on the back of our hands as the elbows draw to the side. Just a few moments here. Noticing any feedback from that pose. Any sensations down the back. Maybe you notice a slight boost to your energy. Okay. Let's come back. We're only going to stay up into our Sphinx a little longer. Okay, we're going to come into our final twists. Okay. So let's inhale that left knee, slide it up the mat, and we rest the knee as close or in line as our hip as possible. If your knee is slightly lower, that's fine. If you feel like stretching that left leg out, so straightening it, okay, that might be an option for you. So your left knee is up here, keep it there. We're going to come down onto our right elbow as if we're tanning on a beach. And then, like a book, we open over into our twist, holding onto that top leg. Good. So you should now feel a nice deep opening in the middle back as we twist open. And we breathe here for just a couple of minutes. Scanning the body once more to try to make sure that we're muscularly disengaged. We're soft. By softening the body, we access our deeper tissues, allowing the ligaments and tendons to receive a very gentle pull. This is so good for us, considering we're always drying up the older we get. The left shoulder tries to make its way down to the mat. But go easy on it, yeah? We're not trying to force that shoulder down. We just allow it to work its way down naturally with the help of gravity and the breath. Let's take our last 8 to 10 breaths or so. few. Good. And then let's slowly roll ourselves back onto the belly. Ooh, all right. Okay, you might feel slight sensation on that left side. You may want to sway the body from right to left, just becoming a little bit fluid. Okay, and let's repeat the same thing on the opposite side now. All right, so the right knee draws up to the side. You'll feel a nice opening on the inside of the thigh. This is not the target today though. Maybe next time we'll do yin yoga for the hips. Okay, left elbow, we rest as if we're tanning on the beach. And then keep that top leg there as we open into a twist. You can hold on to that top leg. And again, that right shoulder can just hang. And the longer we spend the time in each pose, the more opportunity we have to really open into our maximum range of motion. It's always good to just go to that first level of resistance, first edge, we call it, and then we just soften once we've met that edge. Breathe deeply in our twist. And again, notice if distractions have entered in your mind. Just come back. Whether it's sensations in the body or tension that you want to focus on, or if it's the breath that's your anchoring point, find something to always return back to. Okay, that's the practice. Just like how we do bicep curls or squats, this is like training for the mind to come back into this moment that has so much to offer you. We're here for just one more minute. Marinate in this twist and simply enjoy it. Five more breaths. Good. And let's slowly now roll onto our backs. Oof, we may feel a little bit of pressure and sensation in the middle back. We're going to come into our final happy baby here. Just drawing the knees out to either side of the rib cage and just loosening through the lower back and opening into the legs for a few breaths. Before we then release into our resting pose. Resting pose is so important because it just allows the body to assess the stimulus that it just endured. So once it's processed it can then integrate all the work into our being. So lay here with a sense of alert calmness, where your spine just rests in its neutral position. Start to deepen the breath, and then just start to move into the body in ways that feel natural and awakening for you. And then we can sit up. And this closes the practice.